Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. You are on the sidelines with the Sideline Guys. And today, people, today I'm being joined once again by my brother in Negrongness, the man with the most hair products on the eastern side of the seaboard, my guy, Sean Negron. How's it going, brother?
I would just like to reiterate that I have never used a hair product and I still won't and still don't. It just
Wow.
naturally goes like this. You know what?
All
But I see the
natural.
hate. The hate is out here early, but
Hey,
I'm
man.
good. I'm good.
If you
You
got it,
want to
you
bring the
flaunt it, right?
hate.
If you got it, you
You want to
flaunt it.
bring the hate. I could bring that hate right back. How is it going with the old article posting that we
Oh, it's
promised
going great. It's
in
going great.
October?
It's going great. I've got a series of poems ready for release. Make
Poems.
sure. I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure that
I
they're.
can't wait for that poem that's directed exactly right to me. And
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait for that perfect rhyme pattern, you know,
hmm
our last name to be involved. I'm looking forward to it.
Jets. Why can't you be the best? Yeah, it's. I can't wait. I can't wait for it, brother. But we are here today to cover another event. We are looking forward to UFC Hellscape 7005. Roman Dolidze going up against Nassourdine Imavov is our main event. But of course, like always, we're going to work our way from the bottom all the way to the top, give you all of our insights and picks on this fight card. But make sure, if you're interested in stuff like this and more awesome shows, make sure that you're following the brand at OTS Media Co. on all social media platforms, OTS Media on YouTube, and you could find me at Negron MMA on TikTok, as well as the site formerly known as Twitter. And if you feel like it, you can catch me on Instagram at Chris Negron _ Sean. Where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at SeanNegron26, and then bsreports.org is my website for if you want to get involved in sports writing, podcasting, anything of that nature. Shoot me a shout, and I will get help you get started.
Hell yeah, man. And I promise he's excited about it. So make sure
Yes.
send over those emails and you'll get started ASAP. I can't wait
hmm
to join the fray over there as well. But with all of the pleasantries out
Says
the
this every
way,
episode.
the mental masturbation is finally done. It's time to start our night with the first fight of the night. Thomas Peterson Jefferson, the most presidential man in MMA, going up against Jamal Pose in the heavyweight division. Thomas Peterson minus 165, Jamal Pose 144. Sean, as always, I'm going to force the action early and often. I love this matchup. I think this is a very suitable test for both of these guys at this stage of their career. I'm a big fan of Jamal Pogues, man. I think potential wise, he shows a lot as far as his abilities, especially on the feet. I love his reactive shot takedowns. I think he has a very sneaky offensive wrestling game in that way, very anti pressure. And having an anti pressure grappling game is always good when you got a range kickboxing game, right? So I like Jamal Pogue's skills. And I lead off of this to say I am 100% picking Thomas Peterson in this one. I love his dynamic in this matchup. I think his pressure specifically is going to give Jamal Pogue some problems. Obviously, he has to watch out for that reactive shot that I mentioned earlier. But I think Thomas Jefferson, if he's all squared away, right? I've seen a couple of his fights where he was looked a little thicker. I think that goes for both of these guys, right? I think we're gonna learn a lot on Friday whether or not either of these guys look their fighting best. But ultimately, I think the skills match up in a way that Thomas Peterson is going to be able to put the pressure on him, get him down, and from there, honestly, I see all right, I'm gonna make this short but sweet. Thomas Peterson is a southpaw dominant shoot takedown artist, and whenever he goes for that lead leg, he tends to have success. And guess whose lead leg is out there all night? Jamal Pokes. So I think it's going to be tough for Jamal Pokes to stay off the fence specifically, and that leads to a matchup where I like Peterson's chances, man. I'm going with Thomas Peterson. I like his prospects in this division, and I hope he doesn't make me look silly. How you feeling, Sean?
Pretty similar actually. I'm taking Thomas as well, but the only thing that worries me about Thomas is if he fights his game, which is just to grapple, do the takedowns, force him against the cage. That was what he had in the fight against Richard Foster, where it was constant grappling, takedown, and obviously finished him on the ground. But if he does like what he did against Waldo, where he's trying to actually stand up and fight him, then he's gonna get clipped, because that's like, I think, one of his like little kryptonite things, where if he's charging, he keeps his chin down, and I think he could get clipped pretty easily. And I think that's something where Jamal can capitalize on. So it depends on, like you said, the fighting shape of both fighters to start. But I do think that Thomas can fight his game, kind of grapple this one out, take this to the ground, and then I think Thomas gets the victory.
Great shouts, man. I think, especially on the retreat, his defense is literally just shelling. Like, there's no head movement. It is just, I'm gonna hold my hands up and hope your hands don't get around them. So yeah, I definitely see that dynamic being an issue too. But I just, out of the two, I feel like Jamal Pogues specifically falls apart in a way that I don't think Thomas Peterson does along the stretch. But we shall see. We're both going heavy, so that means Jamal Pogues is going to win. Next up, lightweight division, baby. We've got Landon Quinones plus 145 going up against Markel Medeiros minus 130. Sean, who you got at lightweight?
This one definitely, I think Markel. I think Markel does very well with applying the pressure, and the thing is that I think Landon got a nice little break, being on the McGregor Ultimate Fighter, and he got clipped. I think it was the first episode of the whole thing. He was out. I think he was the first one eliminated, but then he took that short notice fight against Nasrat, if I remember correctly, and got himself into the UFC off of being that replacement, and he probably has this fight deal on the contract to get 2 or 3 fights in there. I just don't see Landon as a UFC type fighter at this current moment. I think Markel is building towards something. I'm not sure how much I believe in what Markel's future could be, but I think this is going to be a very one-sided fight once again. I'm surprised that it's actually pretty close in the odds, but I think Markel takes this one. I could see this one being finished in round 2.
Whew, great shouts. I agree, but I also disagree. I'm picking Markel Medeiros as well. Love his story, right? The way he came into MMA with his biological father. A very inspiring tale, to be honest. And he's apparently someone that's really been around at Factory X for a long time now, which can only mean good things. I love everything coming out of that gym. I agree with you. I think as far as matchup wise, Markel in my opinion, has a lot of the same skill set as Landon, but I think offensively he's a lot more potent. I think defensively, what's going to give Landon problems is the same thing he had issues with in the Nasrat Haqparast fight. I think if he was able to look at that fight and make the proper adjustments, he should be able to beat Markel here. I think if he can stay outside of the pocket and really use his range, he's the bigger fighter here. So I think if he could make those adjustments, honestly, he should be the one to come out with the victory. But unfortunately, at this point, I'm not too confident in his ability to make those kind of adjustments. I thought he did a hell of a good job in that fight, damaging the legs of Nasrat and really giving him a lot to think of coming in. Man, the same time counters, that was a war, man. And I think not a lot of people give Landon the credit he deserves for the kind of performance that was. I think he looked like a completely different fighter than he did when he was on Tough. So I'm looking at him with the intrigued eye for the future. I think he could definitely upset Markel here, but I tend to agree with you. I like the dynamic nature of Medeiros. So we move on, baby. Next up, in what weight class is this? Do you know, Sean? Is this 125? I think it
I
is.
believe so. Yes.
Thanks for that.
Now
I needed that.
you got me.
I needed to make
Yeah, it
sure.
is. It is. It is.
Thank
It
you, bro.
is.
Thank you. We've got Luana Carolina plus 115 going up against Julija Storyalenko. Honestly, no matter how long I watched tape on this, which is longer than I am willing to admit, um, I don't have a firm fight on how this is gonna go. I think the only reason Julija beat Molly McCann is because she had a absolute meltdown in there. I think even in this matchup, I like Luana on the feet for sure. But I just don't trust Luana to be able to keep it in that phase for the entirety of the fight. And I think Julija is that dangerous that if she does get her down, she could work her submissions from there. This is a toss up, man, and I don't feel comfortable either way. But give me the favorites, Julija
Damn.
Stodyalenko.
I hate you, bro. I hate you
Damn,
because you said
that's hard
exactly
words.
you said exactly what I was gonna say. I literally had it here. That fight against Molly, she was supposed to lose that fight, but I think I saw one of the worst submission defenses of all time with whatever happened with Molly in that fight, and like helped her out, like rolled off the fence, and it was still don't know what was the game plan there, like what Molly was thinking in that moment, but Julija was not supposed to win that fight. And I think that's exactly what you just said. I think in this fight, I think this is a fight where if Luana could keep this standing, Luana wins this fight pretty handedly. But I just see a way where Julija takes this to the ground and finds a way to get this to the ground. And she's pretty nasty with her submission game. And I think at that point that you're in her world now. And I have it in my notes here that I think Julija wins by sub.
I like it. Next up, we're moving on to the featherweight division. Once again, I'm not sure, right? This is the featherweight division, right? Or is it bantamweight? I'm not quite sure.
145.
Yeah, look at that. I know even when I don't know. Young Jung Lee minus 125 going up against Blake Builder plus 125. Sean, how you feeling about the featherweight?
See, this is actually going to be a little bit closer than I initially thought it would be, because with Lee, like Lee came in, it was I think it was the road to the UFC if I remember correctly, where he was so dominant. It was like, oh, okay, this guy's like the next big thing. But it was that fight where oh my god, why am I gonna blank? Yiza, right? Yiza, yeah, thank you. But that fight was so much closer, and I remember watching that fight where it was so much closer than it needed to be. And even like I still thought like it was like one of those fights where you're watching it and you're like, oh, don't worry, he'll come out of it. Don't worry, yeah, whatever. Let him start off slow. He's still gonna win. But it was very, very close. And I honestly thought for maybe like a good 30 seconds he was not gonna come away with the win. But I think that with Blake worries me after like 10 minutes. And maybe that doesn't play a factor in this fight, but I think Blake gasses out pretty early. And I think this is one of those fights where it may not matter because, Lee might take that last fight and just absolutely like want to kill Blake in this one and just make a statement. But if this fight does make it 15 minutes, I see this going Lee's way, and that's why I have it. Just the comfortable pick here is taking Lee, and I think he's a stud in the wings, and I think he's going to be great.
I like it, man. I think this is a tough fight, though. I agree. I kind of was close to going with Blake Bob the Builder here, but unfortunately,
Blake Bob the Builder.
I think the straight shots of young Jung Lee should definitely make the difference here. He has the patented Korean fighter 1-2. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes that's all you need at these smaller divisions. But if I'm being real, though, I think Blake Builder can certainly melt Young Jung as well. I feel like he is someone that succumbs to the pace of his opponent and sort of lets them dictate their will where they want to. And it's fine because he's not losing immediately, right? He's doing enough defensively to put himself in a good spot, so he feels all right. But a lot of those rounds, especially early on against Yijia, was very, very close until he was able to get separation and then start landing. I think Builder's a little better built to push that kind of pace the way Yizhao tried to, which makes this very, very interesting. Honestly, fuck it. Give me Blake the Builder, God damn it. I'm doing it. I'm putting the nuts on the table.
Let's go.
I'm a fan of Lee. Something doesn't feel right about this one. But
I'll take that.
just like that, we're moving on to our next fight in the welterweight division. Do I have that correct?
This guy's got me
Is this
checking
the
every
new
time.
is this
Yes,
the
it
new
is. It's
bit of the
welterweight.
show here? Is this
Yes, it
I need
is.
my fact checks, god damn it. We've got
Hmm.
Themba Garimbo, the Rock's favorite UFC fighter, minus
Yes.
250, up against Petey Pablo Rodriguez at plus 210. Sean, I'm not gonna lie to you here. I feel bad for Pete Rodriguez. And it's not because I think, holy shit, Themba Garimbo is that guy. I think there's a good chance Pete might actually stun some people here and get a knockout. I just personally think Pete Rodriguez was shorthanded. He got put in the UFC, obviously on short notice against JDM. Nobody wants that assignment. Let's be very real here. But all things considered, I just think he was brought up way too soon. I think his raw gameness is definitely something to behold. I think he's someone that definitely is willing to pursue the action regardless of what's coming back at him. But I think that's going to go against him in this fight specifically. I think Themba is sneaky good when it comes to mixing things up. And I think if he ever does get too in trouble here, he should be able to either secure a takedown or control the range long enough to get a decision here. I think this fight is not going to be too fun, but I'm picking Themba Garimbo. How you feeling, Sean?
Yeah, I'm taking Themba here also because yes, I think Pete's very very raw here. Obviously being thrown into the highlight reel for Jack JDM, I think that sucks. But also his one win is against Mike Jackson, who is one of the biggest jokes to UFC roster history. The fact that I look at it that way, just because of that whole toying nonsense with CM Punk, and the fact of that was one of the worst fights I've ever seen. You know, he could have finished him in like the first 15 seconds, wanted to make it 15 minutes. He deserved to get cut that night. Like, I remember watching that fight go, they both cut them both. They're the worst fight I've ever seen. Cut them both. So, you know, the fact that Pete's only win was against Mike Jackson, and that was, you know, what are we going on 18 months ago now? You know, it's he's still very, very raw of a fighter. So, and I think this is one of there's a couple fights on this card, and I think it happens. It's going to happen again soon. Where I'm going to say the same thing. Where there are certain fights on this card that kind of see the UFC tipping their hand here on who they prefer to win, and I think this is one of those where Themba wins this fight, guarantee. SportsCenter makes an Instagram post about it immediately. You'll just see it immediately, and somehow the Rock's face will be in the picture. I'm telling you. So this is one where I'm really happy for Themba's story. That's an amazing thing the Rock did. Good for fucking him, and I'm taking him by decision victory.
Fuck, man, that got really dark there at the end. God damn it. We'll leave it at that. Next up, we're going down to the flyweight division, baby. We've got Charles Johnson, Inner G at plus 180, going up against Azat Maksum at minus 190. I'm hyped to hear how you feeling first, man, because this one is a cracker. How you feeling about this flyweight
Is
segment?
it? Is
Sure.
it? Here's
Yeah,
another
Charles
one.
Johnson's never lost. Never lost. According to Diaz
Yeah.
rules.
Yeah. According to Diaz rules, but this is another one where this isn't one where it's like UFC wants a certain fighter to win, but when the UFC puts, you know, a guy undefeated against a dude who's lost 3 in a row that's on his way out, you could clearly tell who they're hoping for. And as much as I almost wanted to choose Charles because Charles, you know me, I say it every single time. When you have history in this game, I almost prefer it, and I don't care what your past looks like. But I also think that Charles is not the same guy he was even back in 2022, 2021. I think he's starting to slow down. We've talked about Jimmy Flick just I think a card or two ago, and that was his last win. And I still am not even confident in the fact of who Jimmy Flick is. So I can't confidently say that he's going to go out there and beat Azat or Azat, whatever it is. And I think Azat's disgusting. I watching his tape, I see this absolutely getting to the ground really quick. And I see a sub. I'm gonna see a sub within 3 minutes.
Holy shit. That's a very bold prediction by you, brother. I like
Mm,
it. I disagree though. I think Charles Johnson has gotten better every one of his UFC fights. And I'm not even
yeah,
making a meme here. I'm not even making a meme here.
yeah, you are.
I think Azat. No, I'm not. I'm being dead serious. I think Azat. This is an interesting test for him because he is very not slow, but very methodical is the word that I'll
Mm.
use. And I think if Charles Johnson can really speed things up, might be able to give him some trouble in mixing things up. But I agree with you. I'm picking Azat here. I'm a big fan of what he has to offer in his experience, man. Seeing what he was able to accomplish in Brave, I think he's on that short list of guys that we could definitely see becoming champ very, very soon. So really excited to see his second fight here in the UFC. And I think Charles Johnson's a great test for that. I think honestly, bro, even if Charles Johnson loses this, which both of us are picking him to, I think he deserves more UFC fights because he's always out there doing the damn thing. And I love those guys. And especially at flyweight, we need those guys. So keep my guy in the UFC. I promise he'll make a Jim Miller run a couple years from now. Next up, we've got our Lord and Savior, Meatball Christ, Molly McMahon. Oh no,
Meatball
sorry,
Christ.
McCann. Plus minus 280. No, 260, sorry. Going up against Diana Belbita plus 220.
Mm.
I wanted to pick Belbita so bad. Like I don't give a fuck. I'll let you know who I'm picking immediately. I wanted to pick Belbita so bad. I was looking, I was digging through the tape, man. I was trying. I was trying very hard to find the angle here. I think if Molly shows up in any capacity, which if Instagram tells us anything, she's got a six-pack, baby. I think if she's able to show up here, I think on the feet, she's gonna be more powerful on top of fighting someone that generally wills themselves into the pocket behind a very thin line of defense. I think she should be able to piece Belbita up. And if things get a little gassy towards the end of the fight, I think she should be able to take her down and control her too. So, in both phases of the game, if we don't have a nuclear meltdown, Molly McCann should figure it out. God damn it! And shout out to her and Darren Till. Get me that dentist on the line, man. I want to get my fucking veneers planted in early too. But yeah, give me Molly McCann to do the damn thing at the Apex. How you feeling?
This is the other one that I was talking about UFC picking certain fighters for certain cards to win certain fights because this is not about this fight. Also, I have to ask you: did anyone ask for this rematch? Am I lost in this? Why? When did the UFC brass or fan base say, man, we need a Diana Molly McCann rematch, man? That 2019 didn't do me justice. We need it again. I think this is a bunch of bullshit because this is just a fight to get her back on like some UFC London card in about 6 months from now when they decide to throw it back over there. And that's all this is. That's all you're gonna see. This is just the prequel to get her back over there. And yeah, I think Molly will beat her standing up, and I think she'll beat her taking her down. I see Molly getting at least 3-4 takedowns in this fight, and just absolutely just ground and pound and standing up. I think she cracks her, and Diana's won 2 in her last 6. I just don't see the competitive edge here of how Diana can take this one, even though Molly has looked at her god awful worst in her last couple fights. I still think this is a fight made for Molly to have a UFC England, main card appearance within sometime this year, and I think that's what this fight is made for. So give me Molly.
Hey, nothing gets Sean more fired up than hatred. I mean, you could just see it on his eyes, man. Nothing gets him more hyped than good old anger. But we're on the same page on this one. The saddest part about this, right? And we'll move on. Saddest part about this, when I was really searching for my angle here, I saw Diana talking about how she was originally going to retire after her last fight and then was like, actually, you know what? They gave me the Molly fight. I'll take it. Let's do it. Yeah, you never want to hear that shit. Next up, the third Urbina brother, baby. My boy Gilbert is here. Minus 192 at welterweight, going up against Chuck Buffalo, Charles Radke, the same man that throws all the slursies out at the fans, and everyone loves every second of it. Just absolute peak MMA broism. You hate to see it. Sean, how you feeling about this welterweight matchup?
Ooh, I was surprised. I thought you were all in on the Urbina brothers. That you were gonna take this one from me, but I, you know, I want to so bad go because I know you're gonna go with the Urbina brothers here. I know it. So I want to go against you, but this is the one of two that I still have yet to decide on, just because
I couldn't
I
tell.
want to go against you.
I love that I made.
I just because I can't choose Charles. Like Charles's one win is against Blood Diamond. Like come on, like we saw what Blood Diamond became. Like it just I can't take you seriously if you're beating the Blood Diamonds of the world. Like it's just I can't do it. And I like Urbina. I like the way Urbina fights, circling the cage, looking for the front and body shots. I like that style. It's tactical. It doesn't obviously move the needle in the words of Nate Diaz, but it gets shit done. So I'm taking Urbina in this one. I think this one goes to a decision, but I wouldn't be surprised if I see a sub in there, to be honest with you. So, but I can't take Charles seriously, and I think that's my main reason why I take Urbina in this fight.
Wow, man. I'm not going to lie to you. This was hilarious. Like, just the musings of a madman here. I could have listened to that for 5 hours straight. Without even any of your input, my pick was always Charles Radke. I think as far as this matchup
Wow.
goes, unfortunately, I
Wow.
think Gilbert is a little hyped up. Let me give you a little insight here.
Oh, I
Gilbert's
can't wait.
huge UFC win was against Orion Kosi. Shout out to Orion Kosi.
Dude's a stud.
Unfortunately, the only win on Orion Kosi's record is against one Blood Diamond. So look at
that's
that,
a stud
brother.
right there.
This is just MMA math, all personified.
That's right.
As far as this matchup goes, honestly, was very surprised after watching tape that the lines were where they were. I generally feel that Radke has just a bigger motor here, and of course, yeah, Gilbert can stifle him on the outside, but I'm just not comfortable with his takedown defense and the longevity of this fight. I think easy underdog pick when all things are considered. So give me my guy, Chuck Buffalo. And look at you, just absolutely mused off like a madman. And honestly, might have ended up on the shit side of it because of it. But next up, we've got my dynasty dream, Viviana Araujo, plus 280, going up against Natalia Silva, minus 330. This is one that I think is very strange, right? Look at the odds, minus 3, like huge odds here. I think Natalia Silva is 100% the more skilled fighter. I think Viviana Araujo is certainly the more powerful fighter. This comes down to finesse and power and maintaining distance for the entirety of the 3 rounds for Natalia Silva. And I think in this matchup, it's safe to see why she's favorited. I think Viviani has gotten a little listless, especially when she's firmly on the outside. And given that's how Natalia likes to fight, we feel like we're going to end up there, right? But I think Araujo could give her some trouble in exchanges, especially if she's able to lengthen those opportunities. I think Natalia Silva is really quick and um, really good at taking angles and landing and sticking and moving. But I think when things get gritty, we could find some issues here. So I'm really excited for this fight. I think the odds do not give it justice, but I agree with them. I'm going with Natalia Silva, War Dynasty, Chris Negron, baby. How you feeling?
Dude, I was kind of pissed because you said what I was gonna say in a way. I think this is a sneaky good fight. This is probably my third favorite fight on the card. Maybe it's my second favorite actually fight on this card. I'm looking forward to this one because I like Silva's game here. I think she's scrappy. I think she's really scrappy, and I always love a stand up war, and I think that's what Silva brings. And I honestly, I think if Vivian can bring this to the ground or even in the grapple game, I could see Vivian taking this by decision, like whatever 29, 28, 30, 27, whatever. But I think this is one where if they both stand up and throw, I I could see Vivian, cracking the tally a little bit here, but I just see Silva's a little more, like I said, scrappy, and I think if I had to put money down, I think Silva will outland her, and I think Silva will have more significant strike power, and I see Silva taking this one, but I don't think this will end in a knockout or anything like that. I just see this one being a nice brawl between the two.
I love it, man. We're on the same page here. Glad that we're not differing either, though, because you're not willing to put the stones out there like I am. But it's okay. It's
Oh,
okay.
all
We'll keep it moving. Next up, my favorite point of the fight, right? Because not only is this an awesome fight that you get to lead the dance on, but Sean, you're introing it. So why don't you tell us what this fight is all? Who are these people, and what is the odds? Can you tell us?
Oh, okay. Let's say because in my book, these fights are on the opposite end. So, first of all, I know you're just making me do this to say these names. Not going to say these names.
No
There's
way.
no
There's
there's
no
no
way.
shot.
There's no. I need this, brother. I need this. Can we just get it? Can we please?
Oh God, dude. I was hoping you would even say these names because
It's
there's no
not hard.
shot.
It's not hard, bro. I think
First
they
of all,
flow
it
off.
is
They
hard.
roll
If
off.
I do it in my American accent here, it's alias Cobb, all right? And I know that's not it.
Ooh,
And then
God. What's the last name though?
Kizriv,
That's not bad. Yeah, I
and
like
then
that.
Mahmoud
Okay.
Muradov. Muradov.
Bro, what were you
That's
afraid
got to
of?
be close.
That was awesome.
Because I don't know how to say these names, and I know that's the only reason why you gave it to me. All right, you never let me go unless it's the hardest names possible, and these are the hardest names. So to give my answer, all right, this one I'm going with Aliskov here because I think he's the more skilled grappler. Let's say, I think he goes and he's gonna have more takedowns in this one. I think this fight's gonna be very close, like literally close between them. I don't see Aliskov giving him the space to get comfortable. I think he constantly will push the pressure, and I see a way that Aliskov takes this one via points. Actually, I think this one's going to be one of the more disappointing fights, to be honest with you. With the UFC fan base, I think they're expecting more in this fight, but I think this one's going to be very close and sort of boring if this was on like at some sort of arena. But I see Aliskov taking this one, and it's going to be very close, and I could obviously be wrong at any time because this is like almost a pick 'em. But I think Aliskov takes this one via the grappling.
I like it. I love how during the analysis, each time the name was just different, right? Fuck it.
Shut,
As long as you're,
dude. I hate you so
fucking
much right
trying,
now.
bro. Fuck it. You know what I'm saying? I love it. Alyashkab Khizriev going up against Mahmoud Muradov. Very exciting matchup.
Good. I'm glad you could show
I
off.
gotta
Now.
be
Say it
real.
one more
Though. I
time.
gotta be real though. I just gotta say it right off the top.
Uh-huh.
We've got thick Beeb right here. This is thick reincarnated Khabib in the flesh. And I can't wait to watch it, man. I agree with you. I'm picking Kizriev here. I like Muradov, actually. I kind of want him on my dynasty. I'm sure you might let that happen. I think both of these guys have good upside, but I think this speaks to how high I am on Mr. Hizriev. I think ATT plus Dagestan, like once you get a Dagestani in ATT, like that doesn't even sound fair. Like that's worse than San Jose 10 times worse. Like that is ascended Saiyan levels of unlocking potential, man. Interesting that he's fighting at this weight class, though. I think he could certainly move down to 170 and look normal, right? He doesn't look normal in middleweight, and Muradov is actually a pretty well built middleweight fighter. So that's what makes this very interesting, especially if Hizriev isn't having an easy time taking him down. Um, it could end up being closer, like you said, but I just feel like it's going to be very hard, even on the feet, for Muradov to land the way he normally does with big winging shots. So I agree with you, brother. When we can move on, another welterweight matchup on this card that I'm really excited about. We've got Randy Rude Boy Brown, a minus 238, going up against Muslim Salikov, the king of Kung Fu, comes back at plus 220. We already talked about this fight, right? And went back and forth. If I'm not mistaken, I might have even picked Salikov. Um, it was entirely based on like weight cutting things and things going on that week. And then obviously Randy Brown was forced to pull out. Um, I want Muslim Salikov to win this fight really badly. Like this, I need this for me, right? But
For me.
I think generally it's not going to happen. I think Randy Brown needs this fight for sure, and I think he just has a more dynamic striking game. I think it's going to be very hard for Muslim Salikov to start snowballing. I think that's when he's at his best, right? When there's blood in the water and he's got you really thinking about his feints and worried about his strikes. That's when he really opens up and starts to do big damage. If he could get Randy Brown there, I really think he can hurt him. I think Randy Brown is a little fragile at this weight. I won't be surprised if we see him move up to middleweight before it's all said and done, because that's how fucking big this guy is. But hard to not go with the guy that I feel is a little bit more well-rounded and just an absolute unit at 170. So give me Rude Boy, goddamn it. How you feeling?
All right, so I'm picking Randy here, but for multiple reasons. One of the main reasons is that Randy. I take that back. Well, obviously, Randy is gonna. I think Randy could win this one by knockout. To be honest with you, but one of the things that bothers me with Muslim is the fact of his defense. I feel that while Randy Brown's defense and the grappling is not so great, and I think if Muslim wants to take him down, then I think he can uh, control this fight in the early rounds. But the thing is with Muslim is that if Randy keeps his standing, Muslim in his last fight, if I can't. I think it was Nicholas Dalby in his last fight,
Yes.
but it was, I think Nicholas Dalby landed like almost 65 to 70% of his significant strikes, in from distance. So it was one of those where I feel like that's the bread and butter of what Randy Brown could go for in this fight. While like I said, Randy Brown's not an efficient grappler and he doesn't go for the takedowns or defend them that well. So I think if Muslim can find a way to take this to the ground, it's his fight that he might steal this one. But I don't think Randy's going to give him that sort of time. I don't think Muslim's going to be able to get that sort of takedown. I think Randy can find a way to keep this towards the outside while also constantly keeping the pressure. But I think Randy's smart enough here. This whole camp is probably prepared to prevent this one going down. And I think Randy absolutely dominates if this one stands up, and I think Randy takes it.
I think it's gonna be a little closer than that, but I fucking love the conviction, man.
Mm.
Next up, we've got our co-main event of the evening. Look at fancy little guy. Come on, man. We stepping it up in 2024. God damn it. We got our co-main Renato Moicano, Money Moicano. Clearly got all his English from Call of Duty lobbies at minus 145. Going up against the most handsome man in MMA, Drew Dober. How can you hate Drew Dober? God damn it. I went first last time. You got to go first with the lightweights. How you feeling?
I think this is Moicano all day. Drew Dober couldn't stop a takedown to save his life, and I think Moicano is going to exploit that. I honestly, like if Moicano had more, was fighting more often, obviously he had the, pretty major injury. But I think if Moicano were here fighting, at least 1 to 2 more times before this fight, I think the odds would be completely different. I think the only reason it's even this close is the fact that he hasn't fought in a long time, because I see Moicano decent stand up. I'm not gonna take that away from him. I think he's a little out of his mind when it comes to being on the microphone. But I think if Moicano takes us to the ground, Drew Dober's got no chance. And I see Moicano getting a sub early in round one.
No chance, bro. That's a steep one here.
Mm, I gotta be
This
different, bro.
bro, this fight is fun, right? This is my S on my chest. I'm ready to save him. Fight of the night, man, because
Do it.
this is gonna be fire. Okay. Um, I really want to pick Drew Dober here. Like I really do.
Pick him.
I think genuinely the chance for him knocking out Moicano is very, very high, like much higher than people think. Obviously, the dude took 1,628 punches against RDA, right? So it doesn't really make sense, right? The numbers don't add up. But Drew Dober is the fucking Derek Lewis of this division, and everyone seems to forget about that, especially with the way they match up on the feet. Dober's just so stocky and does such a good job at corralling people into straight shots. I really fucking like Dober here, and he's on my dynasty already. So let me hedge and pick Moicano because I agree with you. I think his skills is much more well-rounded, and I love his stand-up additions too. I think if he is that same fearless version of himself that he was against Brad Riddell, I think should be able to do some damage with kicks on the outside. Um, but he needs to be disciplined and stay outside of the pocket, man. I know it seems easy, right? Just take him down and you'll be good. But I think he's going to have a lot of trouble in those middle phases, staying away from Dober's power. So once again, I'm fucking hyped for this one. Not convicted at all because I think True got this, but I'm definitely going to play it safe and go with Money Moicano. It's main
Mm.
event time, baby. It's main event time, man. And I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait for this fight. Roman Dolidze plus 140 going up against Nassourdine Imavov minus 160. God damn, I didn't think we could do it, but we breezed through this, right? So we got to slow it down here for the main event. Um, okay, there's a lot of different ways you can look at this fight. I think Roman Dolidze is a dangerous grappler, man. And I think Nassourdine Imavov takes pleasure in slowing things down and getting top control. And I think his general style of positional control on the ground is actually going to be a perfect matchup for Dolidze to really mix things up, create some scrambles, and find himself in some interesting positions. On the feet, man, I think this is a closer fight than people expect. I think Nasruddin obviously is the much more polished outside striker, and I think he could use his range very effectively in this matchup. He's gonna have to if he's gonna win. But I think Roma Dolidze's pressure and pace in this fight is gonna be the key. I really didn't like a lot of the stuff that I saw in that Sean Strickland fight. I mean, the guy was a champion, right? You can't talk too much shit. But obviously he melted Imavov down the stretch in that fight on short notice. And I think a lot of those similar close range exchanges is where Dolidze wants to thrive in this matchup anyway. Keep an eye out for that goddamn Roman Dolidze lead headbutt because goddamn it, he don't throw lead strikes. He's full Lethway, just throwing full dome at people whenever he's clinching. So keep an eye out for that because I guarantee you, no pause, there will be a head clash at some point in this fight. Um, Dolidze just is relentless at crashing into range like that. And I think he can wear on Nasruddin because Nasruddin, if he's not having the fight that he wants, especially on the feet, he gets very uncomfortable once people start backing him up. And if you could consistently do that, I think you could find him. But unfortunately, I don't like Roman Dolidze's pressure enough. I think he does a
Yep.
good job at kicking to the legs and taking out some wheels under guys. But I think ultimately he doesn't stay on the offensive long enough to really start warding off Imavov. So I'm going to go with the more polished striker here, Nassourdine Imavov. And I've been touting this guy as a future title contender for a long time. So I kind of have to pick him here.
Yeah. I'm doing the same. I'm kind of pissed that you did that. I was really hoping you take Roman here. Um,
I feel like
I think
everyone on Twitter is taking Roman though, right? Like I'm not imagining
and
this.
I could see that though. I could see why. Like because I think like you said, I think if Dolidze puts or if Roman pushes the pressure a lot, I could see a way where, by round 3, 4, we can have a serious issue here. And you could see Imavov kind of not gas out, but slow down. But I just think Imavov's so good at keeping the distance and being as durable as he is. I just don't see a way where Dolidze can take this to the ground and find a way to submit Imavov or have his way with him. No pause. I just think I find this that I find with Roman, even in his fight against Vittori, I thought it was a competitive fight, but I still didn't think he won that fight. I know people think that he should have beaten Vittori that night. I don't know why,
I do.
but I don't know what you're thinking there. But it's I and Imavov's win. I shouldn't say win. He should have won against Chris Curtis, but then the clash of heads obviously turned that to no contest. I just think that he is prepared for this one. Facing someone like Sean Strickland, who becomes a champ, obviously one of the best in cardio that you could ask for in a 5-round fight. Imavov's back to another 5-round fight. I see this one being Imavov's fight to lose. I think Roman's right there at his level, right at this moment, but I think Imavov's future is, like you said, he's right there as a one of the top guy. I'm thinking of the word here. Top. I don't want to say prospects because I think he's been here long enough now, but I think he's going to be very, very difficult in about 2 years, maybe even a year from now. And I think Roman's got great jiu-jitsu. I just don't think it'll be enough to take Imavov's footwork away from him. And I think Imavov takes this one for distance.
Hey, shout out to that jiu-jitsu. God damn it. New father as well in Roman Dolidze, something to keep our eye on as far as newfound motivation. Honestly, though, won't be shocked if Dolidze just fucking sparks him in the first. Like the way he throws his combinations, the dude is trying to decapitate folks. And Nassourdine does a lot of backing up whenever he gets pressured and kind of just throwing himself back. Definitely there to be extended with the second or third shot, right? So something to keep our eye out for. But yeah, man, this is a fun fucking fight. I think no matter how it goes, we're gonna get the violence that we all so crave. But just like that, man, we're fucking done. So that means we're at my favorite part of the show. This is the where we insert our jingle, right? We need to get one, man. It is
We do.
Dynasty MMA time. And just like that, I get the first pick. There's a lot of different routes I was gonna go with this
I'll
one.
just take the guy already.
Obviously, Julija Storyolenko just being such a huge beacon of hope. But I'm going with Nassourdine as my first pick.
Yes.
Who you got?
We all knew it already. God. All right.
Your enthusiasm today.
Gosh. All right. Give me new Khabib and See, I'm not like you. I have to do this on the spot or I'll second triple guess myself here. And I think that's what the fans want. I think the fans want to go through it with me. And then they can hate my decision later. I think, you know what? Just so you could say, wow, I can't believe he did that. Give me give me Azad. Just so you could do this to me.
The sleeper. This is the sleeper. God damn, I would have picked Azat above Thick Beeb. But yeah, now things really get bare here, right? Now things are looking real scary. Give me Markel Maderos and give me this might come as a surprise to many. Give me one Thomas Peterson in the worst division in MMA. Why not?
Wow.
You got 2 picks on the board, brother. How you feeling?
Good. Give me Natalia Silva.
I have her already, so.
Oh man, I hate
Tough
you. Did you
shit.
announce that yet?
Oh no, I didn't.
God.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
I
you
said
see what you
last
did
week.
here?
I set you up. I set you up. Let me explain. I set you up
Oh
because I was like,
my
last week we
God.
only have one fighter, and then
Yeah.
somehow I just missed that Natalia Silva was on this list. I 100% drafted her very early
I'm,
on the same card as
I'm calling cap here.
Hey, look it up. Look it up. We got our dynasty page right
Yeah.
here.
I bet you
Natalia
added her
Silva, Ian
name in
Machado,
randomly
Gary,
when I wasn't looking. Oh
Aljamain
yeah, I
Sterling.
drafted her.
Actually, I drafted her with my first pick too, so it's not even like a
Yeah,
confusion.
you see, this is where the cap comes in.
Bro, I drafted her, and then you know who my second pick was? Your favorite fighter, Ian Machado, Gary.
Yeah, he's all time. Connor Jr. You don't take away from Connor Jr.
And I picked Natalia Silva over Connor Jr. Damn it! So yes, I have 2 returning fighters. Sean has none. You can't have Natalia. Good luck.
All right, give me Moicano then.
Money Moicano.
And then give me Roman.
Look at this guy. I was hoping that fell to me so bad. I was really hoping.
Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, that.
I'll take a loss.
There's a condescending tone here, brother. And I don't know what the fuck's going on, but god damn it, it's fucking getting me fired up, all right? Because now I know. Now I know. Okay, now
good.
I know how it's gonna go.
Oh my god! I can't believe I missed out on someone. But oh my god!
Yep, exactly what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
I have no idea who you're talking about.
I was gonna do it, but you know what? I'll take her next week. I'll take her next time she fights. Don't worry.
Analyze this, okay? Knowing your track record,
you better take freaking Meatball.
Hell no, that's not happening. Yeah, that is not happening. What do I do here?
I know exactly who it is too, and I'm upset.
You know what? I'm just gonna think what's the worst division? And it's middleweight, goddammit. So give me Mahmoud Muradov. So who are you talking about since the draft is now over? Who are you?
Yeah, I was thinking Lee. I was thinking Lee was ready.
Who the fuck is Lee?
This guy doesn't even know. This guy doesn't even know who we talk about. Yeah.
You are referring to a woman. God damn it. So were you doing
I know. That was the whole point. I was doing that to throw you off, buddy.
This guy's strategy is just absolute shit. Like absolute garbage. So
it worked.
Not at all. Our teams go as follows.
I'm gonna take my dub now.
Let me not get ahead of myself here. You're funny. You're a very funny guy. Yeah, this week sucked as far as having
I don't know if it sucked for everybody, but
having a difference in opinion. This guy really is feeling himself today, and I don't know. It must be the fucking products, right? It must be it's gotta be hairspray just seeping into your fucking skin.
Oh, for sure.
But
for sure,
I've got Nassourdine Imavov, Markel Medeiros, Thomas Peterson, Jefferson, and Mahmoud Muradov. While Sean is rocking the thick Beeb, Alyashkov Kizriev, Azat Maksum as his second, and then we go back around the horn with Money Moicano and Roman Dolidze. I can't wait till both of those last picks just get absolutely fucking starched. But just like that, ladies and gentlemen,
I'm looking forward to that 0-6 on your end. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Oh yeah,
and then this guy will talk win percentage. Yeah, if we look at the win percentage, I could clearly tell.
Bro, what do you expect? This is what pisses me off, right? Because you really hung on to the win percentage bit, right? How the fuck else are we gonna calculate this? All right, when you have 5 more losses than I do, and you happen to have one more win, and now all of a sudden this guy's big fucking time over here, right? Okay. We'll keep an eye out for how.
Yeah, let's keep an eye out
at the end of next week, because I promise you're not going to be talking all this shit. But God damn it. We completed a whole episode in under an hour, Sean. Is this some sort of beacon of hope for our future on this show, or does this just speak to
this is Hellscape?
How little of a shit you gave about this card?
No. This is that Hellscape 7000. If the higher you go on the numbers, the less of a shit everyone else cares about. So I think we kept it short. I think if you keep it to Hellscape 2002, it's you got competitive more fighters in there. Like, oh, that's a pretty good fight. Hey, I like that one. Once you go into that 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, we're in bleak territory here, and I think that these are one of those times where the names on these cards aren't all time, but there are some sleepers, like you said to me early in the show. For sure, there's gonna be some sleepers. But I really look forward to this card now because I very much look forward to my pick'ems and my dynasty. This is one of those times where you go into the card thinking, man, this is gonna suck. But now I have really high hopes on your picks compared to my picks, and I think I'm gonna have a good week.
Yo, this guy's such a fucking pretentious asshole today. I don't know what's going on over there in fucking on that side of the bridge, but holy shit, Sean. I fucking love it. Because it's about time we've gotten some damn what's the word? Some gumption out of you, because usually you're just fucking laying down for me, brother. You're just laying down and I'm laying down the fucking pipe. Let's make it fucking clear, right? I am gonna come out on top this week, but most importantly, do not forget, ladies and gentlemen, that when it comes down to making the right picks, when being on the right side, god damn it, there's only one way to go, and that's Negron. So even
That's
if
right.
I think this piece of shit isn't the brightest bulb in the shed, guess what? We both got it going on,
He
god damn
still
it.
has the
And I
most
can't wait.
wins.
I can't wait to see how this week plays out, because man, this guy is unfucking sufferable. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you back again, because hell is hot, baby. Pack light, because we're back at the Hellscape again next week, baby.
Oh
We'll
yeah.
see ya. Wouldn't want to fucking be ya. Till next time.